Okay, and welcome back to the MANvFAT Wales podcast, episode 19. I'm really excited about this one because I've just been saying in my little pre-chat to this wonderful guest, this is the first time we've had a business on, and this is not a paid promotion. This is nothing like that. This purely is, there's someone within MANvFAT who is doing amazing things. And if the podcast is anything, it's just about sharing what amazing things people in the community are doing. So I'm really pleased to welcome James Williams onto the podcast, Mr. The Boot Chamber.
How are you?
Very good, very good, very good. We're going to get going and hopefully talk about your business, which has kind of come out of being involved in MANvFAT and knowing MANvFAT people, and has become from a hobby into a really, really wicked business. But first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself and your MANvFAT journey.
So my MANvFAT journey started in 2019. I think, like most others, just found myself quite overweight. So my brother-in-law plays in Peterborough as well. So I pestered him a bit about it for a while, but I was always a bit concerned about with my working hours at my old job. So put it off. And then it just got to a point where I was missing playing football as well as piling on the pounds. So I decided to take the plunge, just even with the fact I thought I'm probably not going to be able to play every week. But so I got joined up, and first season was my best season I've had so far. 14 kilos I lost that first year. And then, of course, probably like a lot of other people, it's a little bit up and down. And then COVID hit, and then it's really been up and down and topsy-turvy. But now, since probably last season, it's coming off again, but just nice and slow. I've met absolutely loads of new people. I knew 3 or 4 of them before, but met loads of new people, which is great from a social aspect. I now run an hour's game on a Thursday night for just MANvFAT players as well. So the social aspect outside of it as well is really good. But I think what MANvFAT do for a lot of people is brilliant. And it is I don't know whether you can call it a product essentially, but it's a proven method of losing weight. Obviously I think they say that 95% lose weight. So, and it's definitely true.
Yeah, and that's not what we're talking about today, but that's inspirational. What we're actually talking about today is, because I've seen you pop up on Facebook a few times, and I know a few people from, around and about that know you from the Peterborough League, like Bedders, who's, I've already recorded his podcast, but he's on the podcast next week.
Yes.
He's spoken about this website, and when I click on, I was absolutely intrigued. And I could see it on your chest there, the Boot Chamber. Yes. So the Boot Chamber, this business that's running out of your house, that's become absolutely what I would describe as massive. I'm sure you wouldn't say it's massive, but I think it's massive and it's amazing. Tell us, how did that come into existence?
So ever since I was younger, I've always loved football boots essentially, and I think it was about 2018. I was looking through eBay and I come across a pair of boots, and I saw them and I thought, blimey, I love them. I had them when I was younger. And I thought they weren't bad value at the time, so I decided to buy them. I bought them not to play in them, but just to sit on the side, a little bit of a showpiece, and that's about it. Bought another 2 or 3 pairs just to go with, when I found them as a good value on eBay, essentially. So there I was, I had 3 pairs of boots. And then one day, for some reason, I don't know what led me to do it, but I decided to create an Instagram account purely just to show off these boots. They were all Adidas Predators. And that's why my first Instagram account was called 3 Stripe Classics. And then started getting quite a few followers. And then before I knew it, I was getting offers on these boots. And I thought to myself, hold on, I only paid this for them. I've made myself whatever. And it's kind of just rolled on from there, is that, I've sold them, made a bit of money. I've got some more in. And to start with, it was purely just eBay. That's all I was buying it. So obviously these people could have gone straight to eBay, but I think at the time there was quite a few other accounts on Instagram. I think one of them started back in 2014, but there weren't that many. But there's enough where people were starting to buy on Instagram. So it just one thing led to another. Before I knew it, I had 50 pairs, and I think that was the point where I thought to myself, instead of people just throwing questions at me on Instagram going, "Oh, what have you got?" It just made simple sense for me to go, right, let's have a website. So that was April 2020. I started the website. Of course, and I think with any website, it's been in development ever since. I'm looking at it every week, trying to make improvements to it, trying to make the buying process easier. But that's basically so essentially from 3 boots is where it's all come from. I think it was January, February 2020, where I decided that 3 Stripe Classics was leading just one way with just Adidas. And I wanted to be a little bit broader than that with Nike and potentially some other brands. But I put my head together and come up with a boot chamber. I thought, what's another? There's a lot of accounts called the Boot Room, and it seems like such a cool name. But I thought, what's another name for a room essentially? And in the thesaurus, a chamber came up, so I just went with that. I thought there's nobody else with that name. And it's just, it's grown from there. I remember probably in our first month, I think we probably had 3,000 to 4,000 visitors on the website through the whole month. And then in December 2021, we hit 59,000 visitors in the website. Yeah, so pretty much 2,000 a day were going through. So it just shows the growth of the name of the company is growing. That's where it really started, really, from 3 boots to nearly 200.
Wow. I suppose when you've got 50 boots as well, and you've just bought 50 boots and you haven't sold any, you've got to have a business, or you've got a problem, haven't you? There's an addiction.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't get me wrong. I know a lot of collectors that have got an awful lot, but they would be purely a collector, and rather than, they don't really sell at all. But if you're selling and you just sat on these boots for ages, then they're definitely a bit of a problem.
Yeah. Taking you back to the 3 Stripe, what did you say? 3 Stripe?
3 Stripe Classics.
3 Stripe Classics. Am I right in saying, and I've been looking very carefully here, on your logo, is there a pair of 3 Stripe boots?
Yes.
Yeah, there we go. There's a bit of a nod to the past. I like that. I like that.
Yeah, very, very good. Good awareness.
These next questions, hopefully you've prepared for it, because I've sent you this through, and I sent it through with, James, you are the CEO of Boots, and I really do think you are the CEO of Boots. So could you give me, from the expert, what are your 3 top tips of kind of the best boots you think you've got?
I'll probably start with this one. Now, this boot will probably be what most people say is the greatest boot ever. Structurally, it's probably not, but to look at, and I think from a nostalgic point of view, and also the era of football, just running back to, like, say, for example, the 2002 World Cup in Japan and Korea. So, for example, the Adidas Predator Mania. I think I would say, now, for me personally, these are not my number one, but I think a lot of people, they're definitely in the top 3. But these are, from many points of view, will be the greatest retro boot there has and will ever be. Yeah,
I can remember those, and they've got those little rubber fins on the inside of the boot.
Yeah, so of course, I mean, the rubber fins all where it all started, really, with Craig Johnston, of course, the Australian that played for Liverpool. So the first Adidas Predator came out in 1994. The first player to ever wear them was, from what I've seen anyway, was John Collins. If you remember him, ex-Fulham player. So he was the first. But yeah, they're very, very famous for the fins. I think what a big part of the Predator was the tongue. What it was about this boot, I couldn't nail it down why this was probably the most popular of the lot. But I think probably what goes with it is the time. That Japan and Korea World Cup in 2002 was one of the best. That even though England unfortunately did get knocked out by whether Ronaldinho meant it or not, I don't know. But I think from just a nostalgic point of view, it was a really good time for football, and this was a boot that went with it. You had David Beckham wearing these, and I think at that point in life, every kid wanted to be Beckham.
Yeah, definitely. Those fins, I did have a pair of those. They never made me any better. They were properly missold to me, or I'm rubbish at football, it could be true. All right, take us on to your second pick.
The second pick was a little bit more of a modern boot. So this is the Nike CTR 2, CTR Maestri 2. Now this is back from 2010, famously worn by Andres Iniesta, Fabregas, Jack Wilshere, and probably Carlos Tevez. There was a few different sole plates they did, but this one is key for me because it's a carbon sole plate. I mean, it's not going to be overly clear to all, but when you can find these with a carbon sole plate, they are really, really rare. But I found that these are a lot lighter. Obviously, of course, the carbon's making it a lot lighter. They're super comfy. There's a lot of collectors and probably even players now that if there's any boot they're asking Nike to remake, it's these. Absolutely superb boot. Structurally, I think they look really good. And yeah, that'd be my second choice.
Now, forgive me my ignorance here, but these are obviously the Predator Manias 2002. These are from 2010. They're retro boots. They're old boots, but they don't look banged up, scuffed up. Why is that?
Brand new. Literally everything I have, I think I've only got, because when I started this, I would sell new and used. Now, I think I've only got one or two pairs of used boots left, and they're in immaculate condition. Otherwise, everything else is absolutely brand new.
So you're just finding people who've sat on them and buying it and making sure they come in pristine.
Exactly, yeah. So, if somebody offers me a used boot now, unfortunately, I just have to kind of, just advise that we don't buy used boots any longer. I think it was important for me because legally with having a website, I have to offer a returns policy. Selling used boots makes that difficult, because it's easy for me to say, okay, sold in this condition, but then legally I wouldn't have a leg to stand on if they want to send them back because they've fell apart or something. Now, don't get me wrong, if someone was to actually physically wear this boot on a 4G pitch, let's say, that sole plate's probably going to go. To be honest, being 20 years old, that's why these boots I only advise for collection only, not to wear. But yeah, everything bar two pairs on the website are completely brand new.
Amazing! All right, let's take you on to the third pick. So is this your number one we're talking about now?
I'd probably say yes. So this one for me is the Accelerator from 1998. This is a brand new pair. They, as I said to you on the pre-chat, so these boots were actually slightly just before my time of when I started getting my own boots. So these were 98. So these are the 98. They made a 99 model that was ever so different, but this is the 98 model. And I've only come across these, never had these in hand since I've been doing this, and they are a superb boot. The way the fins are, they're not just one side, just like the Mania. They're all over the boot. I think from a looks point of view, they're absolutely fantastic as well. I think what made me love the boot even more is probably about a year ago, I had a player issue pair of these, so that were given to a pro. Who that pro was, I don't know, but it was a boot that had quite a lot of distinctive differences to just a standard retail boot, and I think. Again, probably another pair I wish I'd never sold actually, but from there I just absolutely love the boot. I love the way it looks, and I wish I managed to have these when I was younger. But fantastic boot, and these are probably, out of all the Predators, these are the ones that hold the most value.
Really,
the 98 ones, yeah. Don't get me wrong, anything from 96 to probably 96 2002. Are all pretty high in value at the moment, but these are the ones. If you've got, and I hope people start searching their garages, if you've got a pair of these brand new in box, say for a prime size, say UK 10, you could reach up to 1,500 quid for them.
Wow.
Yeah. But yeah, absolutely superb. Really, really love this.
Do you know what? I think you've chosen 3 absolutely gorgeous boots there, and I've asked you for one final pick, but I know you've got 2, and I don't want you to give away the second one too soon because it is so special. Obviously, with all of these, I've been putting up a picture as this podcast is going out, so I know you've described them really well for the audio only podcast, but this next one, your wildcard pick, I love why you've chosen this as your wildcard pick. Tell us about it.
The little gem?
Yeah, the little gem.
Yeah, so this would be the little gem. So this is an Adidas F30. And this particular model off the top of my head is from 2012. The reason I've chose the F30 rather than the F50 is the F50 at that time, what they would do is they'd make them in leather, synthetic, and I'm sure there was something else as well. So there was 3 different versions of the boot. And then for some reason at that point, they also made the F30 in a leather version, which was very strange for what most would call a mid-tier boot. But so from a price point of view is why it's my little gem, is you're getting this leather boot, excellent quality, great sole plate. The only difference is actually, from what I can see between the F50 and the F30 with this particular model, is just the heel on the F50 slightly thicker. That's literally it. The sole plate is extremely similar. You've still got the little slot to put the My Adidas trackers in. And, if you were to buy this particular size 8 on the website, you're looking at about 80 quid. Against an F50 leather model of this in a size 8, you'd probably be looking about 180 to 200. So from a price point of view is why it's my little gem. It's a great little boot, be very comfy. And it would, for me, having wide feet, because I know that tends to be a question that's asked a lot across MANvFAT, is it would be quite good for wide feet. Just, I know this probably might be an audio only, but otherwise, yeah, you'd get some pretty wide feet in there as well. So suits a lot. It's quite a light boot as well. I mean, F50s were famous for being a very light boot. It's one of their big selling points. But yeah, that's why. It's purely because it's a mid-tier boot, usually isn't leather. And from a price point of view, 80 quid. So when these would have retailed back in the day, these would have been 120. So picking them up brand new for less with the box still is pretty good going for 80 quid.
All right, I'm going to move you on to the next one because I'm just so excited about this. I am going to put up the pictures of these boots. And the first picture I'm going to put up is them in their box, side on. You can't tell whose they are. Can I ask you a question? When you normally get your boots in, is kind of the first thing you do get them out and smell them for that fresh leather smell?
Usually no, but I won't lie. I have done it to 1 or 2 boots before. I'm not going to lie. Yes. I can't, whether I did it with those particular ones, I don't know. But I have done that.
Because these ones, they aren't for sale on your website. They went within a day, the minute you picked them up. Tell us who wore these boots.
So they were worn by the one and only Zinedine Zidane in 2002 at an Adidas marketing event in Tokyo, just leading up to the 2002 World Cup in Japan and Korea.
And the provenance of them is, this is absolutely true. You've got pictures of the event and they are addressed to Mr. Zinedine Zidane.
Yes, yeah. So
wow.
With the boots came a magazine that was I think it was quite a prominent sports magazine, and they were, I think, working alongside Adidas for this particular marketing event. And there's a page of which I've actually kept this magazine. I can't read Japanese, unfortunately, so I don't know what it says, but there is a picture of him stood there wearing these boots on his feet. They were never worn on a pitch. But yeah, so to know that he's had his feet in them, and a pretty special boot.
Absolutely amazing. And like you said, when you spoke to me earlier, you said they came in and they went out, and it was just magic.
Yeah, well, from what I was actually planning to do, so I took these pictures of them, and I wanted to not actually do anything. I wanted to keep them for a week at least, and just look at them and take them in and so on. But then I got a little bit too excited. I decided to put the pictures on Instagram, and then my messages just went a bit nuts, and just from collectors and so on. And then, yeah, one collector said, I'm really interested. What sort of money are you looking at? I told him, and before I knew it, quite a large deposit had been put into my PayPal account. So, and then he paid the rest over the next couple of days, and that was it. Off to Mexico they go.
So you sold them to Mexico?
Yeah, so I sold them to a collector in Mexico. He's bought a few bits off me since, which is nothing of that scale. But yeah, he's actually showed me his collection. It's by one of the best I've ever seen. Absolutely incredible.
That's
and amazing. That probably being the star piece for it now.
Really? Oh, it's superb. And, I put the pictures up, the fact that you've got his name embroidered in, the 10 on the back of the boot. And you were telling me as well about, the retro boots, and the quality of the leather was different.
Yeah. So, of course, you can buy leather boots these days. I mean, there's not many of them. A lot of materials used these days are synthetic. Why that is, I'm not sure. Whether it makes production cheaper, or we know brands like to make boots not last so long, so you're buying them again every 6 months. But the kangaroo leather they used back then is, if you were to hold a pair in your hand and hold a modern pair, the difference is incredible. I don't think you can actually beat a leather boot overall.
So before we go on, I know I'm going to ask you kind of what's coming next for the boot chamber, and he's probably looking for another pair of Zinedine Zidane and selling them straight to Mexico in one day. If you could do that once a week, you'd be sorted, wouldn't you? But I'm actually going to mention the fact that you've been reaching out to a few MANvFAT leagues, the ones you know of, the ones you can get in contact with, and got really good social media presence. And you also reached out to me within my league and offered for the podcast a discount code. So we've got the discount code MVF Wales. But they, like I said, you're offering these to lots of different leagues. And can you tell us how much that is off on your website?
Yeah, so that'll be 20% discount, and that's off full price stuff and already discounted stuff. So on the website, there is a clearance section. It tends to be boots that I've maybe had for a little bit longer than I would have expected. They go into clearance, so they're already lower than what retail is anyway, from when they were released. And then you'd get a further 20% off that as well.
Yeah, because I've been looking around just because I'm crap on social media, really, and I was looking around and I was searching for you on Instagram and on Facebook, and I found a few other different websites that do it, and your prices are quite good anyway. But so with the 20% off, that'll be a good old deal for someone. Yeah,
absolutely. I tend to find, and some people looking at my website for the first time would see, I don't know, a pair of Predator Manias and think, well, is that some kind of joke? But I price myself against these people and then make them slightly lower. So I tend to be cheaper than most, especially for new boots already. And then, with the discount, it's really, you probably start your own boot company, really.
But don't tempt people. But that discount code MVF Wales, through the MANvFAT Wales podcast, that hopefully that gets used and gets used in business, because, like we said at the start, this has come out from, we talk about the MANvFAT community, and you're definitely one of those people, because I know you, and I've got to mention this because it's a good thing you do. You sponsor the Peterborough 11s team as well, don't you? I've seen all their training kit.
Yeah, absolutely. So the training and the first team kit is got the boot chamber plastered on the front. I thought it is important for two reasons. One, it can get, of course, the boot chamber out there, and secondly, of course, just supporting that the MANvFAT, essentially. I think what they do is a really good thing. So just being able to support that with the team that I play for is just a bonus.
Awesome. So tell me then, what's next for the boot chamber? Where are you going to go?
What's next? So I've got a few ideas in mind. I'm going to start to look to introduce some of the football products, working with there's a few local companies that have got their own thing, whether that be goalkeeper gloves, it might be balls, it varies. So I'd like to turn it, while it will always stay a boot shop, is to just be able to offer a little bit more, of an all-round football boot shop. Football shop. It will never be anything more than football. It's the best sport in the world. It's why we're all here, and so on. So that would be one thing. And then, we're talking quite a distance in the future. I think I'd love to have some kind of unit with a shop front, so people can come in and visit, try on the boots, talk boots, ask questions, whatever. I think that's something I'd like to do far in the future. But yeah, I think that's where I'm going at the moment. My social media following's growing pretty quick at the moment. It's in one of its better spells of gaining followers at the moment, so that's good. And also, it's only so. For example, this F30 that we were discussing, I've only actually been selling mid-tier boots since probably early January. So only a month and a bit. I was always I only sell top tier and that's it. But I do want to be able to cater for more people in the market. I completely appreciate that everyone's budgets are not happy to spend £100, £200, whatever on boots, especially if you're going to wear them. So for me, it was important to be able to start selling cheaper boots. And that doesn't necessarily mean they're worse made or anything like that. You just tend to find that the materials on them might be a little bit different. There might not be a full leather boot, or it might be various different things. But the important thing for me was to be able to cater to more of the market. So I'll continue over the next few months to grow that kind of portfolio of boots. So it's top tier and second tier. So on the website, when you click on a pair, if you scroll down to the description, it states what tier they are. So you've got everything on the website to be able to fully understand what you're buying.
Do you know what? I really, really hope. I hope a few people use the discount code. I hope loads more people go to your site and have a look at the amazing things you're doing. I hope they support your business, mate. Thank you ever so much for being on the MANvFAT Wales podcast. It's been eye-opening for me. And it's just been amazing to look back through and see those top picks. Thanks ever so much, mate.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, buddy.